So baseball's back. You have the Marlins, who have, I think, last reported 20 cases in their clubhouse of COVID-19, and you have all these teams that are still traveling around and trying to make a go of the MLB season. And you just have to say, what is this? you know, is this just a passion for failure, or what are you looking for? Because they almost didn't come back in the first place. Negotiations between players and ownership was just a complete standstill. Players wanted completely different things from the owners in terms of season coming back, people being paid, how many games there were going to be, rules, regulations, everything. Everything that could come up that could go wrong went wrong. And here we are. You have players getting COVID, you have teams traveling around. There's not really a clear guideline with the MLB right now. And that's the major issue between the major sports that are currently back. You look at the MLB with a lack of I think, appreciation and understanding of how to handle the situation. Which, granted, this pandemic was, who knows how to properly handle it? Nobody. And ultimately, all you can do is wear a mask and just try to play your part in preventing the spread and hopefully leading to the ending of COVID-19 as safely as possible. But the NBA has the right idea. They have the bubble. They have a whole community just insulated there. There's not really a lot movement in and out there. You are in that bubble, which is just a blanket of security essentially. When you look at the MLB, where there's all that travel and everything, and Derek Jeter came out and he said that it was players letting their guards down, and it's just, I mean, come on, letting your guard down, that's not a good answer. There's things that you can own up to and say, hey, I messed up here. But when it comes to COVID-19 and you get 20 people in your clubhouse that have it, you can't just say, oh, they let their guard down. No, this is not like they were caught smoking weed in the back clubhouse. That's big violation of rules and everything. But it's like this is a pandemic. This is a global pandemic. They went out and they got sick, and then the whole clubhouse got hit. That's endemic of the problems that the MLB has. And I don't know if anybody really missed the MLB that much. And there was a reporter for ESPN talking on NPR, I think, and they were saying, baseball is it captures the American spirit and the imagination, and it's just all this stuff that we've heard for a long, long time. But does baseball really do that? I don't know any of my friends, besides maybe two or three of them, who also play college baseball, who really missed the MLB too much, who were really like, I want baseball to come back. Baseball is what's missing right now. It's what we need right now. I think baseball's fallen out of pop culture. I think you look at references in music and TV and things like that. You're getting NBA, you're getting NFL, you're getting NHL too, and you're getting a lot of UFC and combat sports now as that becomes more mainstream. And baseball is kind of just odd man out. Baseball didn't age well. I think the MLB and just the influence baseball has on pop culture and society in general has aged like milk. There used to be Sandlots. The old movie The Sandlot. The kids going and just swinging. Like, that's fun. That looks like fun. I didn't have that in my childhood. I didn't have a Sandlot near me. There was, you'd have to sign up for a baseball team, but I had swim team, I had tennis, I had lacrosse, I had these other sports that were there that were also readily available, or at least as available as baseball was. There's no longer there's a Sandlot in every neighborhood, every town. There isn't that anymore. It's very organized now. I think now that you put on a level playing field with basketball and football and other sports, it loses that whole America's pastime sensibility, and it just becomes just a regular sport. And when it gains that connotation of just being a normal sport, it loses that luster. It loses that legacy that everyone keeps referencing and quoting. And this ESPN reporter, you could hear in his voice that he was of that bygone generation, that really rah, go get 'em baseball fan generation. And it's just, baseball stadiums, I think, for a while held a place above all the other professional sports in terms of venue and how, aesthetically pleasing they were, as well as food provided, pardon me, and a number of other things at the baseball park. But now you look at these NFL monolith stadiums that are just, looks like a massive Las Vegas casino or something. And the NBA is air conditioned. I mean, I like indoors. I like air conditioning. Don't get me wrong. I like a pretty sunny day. But if I'm having to sit in 90-degree heat through 9 innings, that doesn't sound like fun to me. I'm probably gonna be on my phone more than anything else during that sporting event. And you just have to wonder, baseball coming back and all the problems that are here right now, does the MLB last? What's going to happen to it? And I don't really care one way or the other. I like sports. I like that the MLB is back in terms of a return to normalcy for all of us, during these odd times. However, I don't really care about the MLB. I don't care about baseball. NBA being back doesn't even feel like the NBA. It feels like some, high school tournament of all the teams in town just coming together and playing. Because there's 22 out of 30 teams playing in this bubble. So, and then you have playoffs after this, and there's an NBA Finals, and obviously, the state of everything in the world, the NBA couldn't be, return to normal kind of thing. I get that. But it doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel like it's really back. None of the sports do. And then that brings to question, well, what about college sports? You had the governor of South Carolina talking about how they weren't sure if they wanted any of the sports to come back, throwing, all these major football teams' seasons in doubt. And obviously now that's probably been smoothed over because donors to the campaign said, well, if you want to be back in office, you're gonna just retract that comment. But the point is still the same, that the MLB, out of all the sports that are coming back or attempting to come back, it just had a haphazard plan from the get-go. It looked like they wanted to lose. Obviously, that's not the case. You don't want to go out and just have a defeatist mentality. But it seems like the MLB did from the get-go. The season almost didn't happen because the players and owners couldn't come together. And then you have all this stuff that's going on right now with the lack of guidelines of what to do during this time. You're seeing that in the NFL now. The NFL is proposing these face mask covers, and J.J. Watt was saying, "Oh, so we're just not going to breathe." Okay. But at least the NFL's having that discourse and that discussion right now. With MLB, who knows? Baseball has lost it. Baseball has lost out on viewership, on fan involvement, and I think in youth activity within the sport. And now they're talking about, before pandemic, they were talking about cutting 40-some minor league teams. And I think that's one of the last places where the MLB has been doing a good job, because these minor league teams, this is what it attaches itself to the community, what gets baseball into the minds of families and kids and says, hey, you know what, let's watch the MLB game that's going to be on this Tuesday night, or whatever. And baseball, if you cut out the one thing that I think is holding together the endearing nature of baseball, all those classic views of baseball to the sport, then what do you have? You have a league that's dying. You have a league that's lost all relevance and prevalence. You have, a whole culture within baseball where you have guys like Justin Verlander saying, a batter shouldn't celebrate, when he hits a. Come on, if no one is celebrating, and the bat flip is nice and everything, but what is that? Come on. Well, what is it really? I want to see more energy, more life, and baseball doesn't bring that. I think baseball it's the dying of baseball is a sign of the times. Baseball is trying to market itself like the NBA or the NFL and be, a major sport. But in truth, I equate it more to golf, more to tennis, more to something that's, you sit back, it's a little more passive. You sit back, you watch it, your emotions don't really get stoked until it's toward the end of it. Toward the end of the game, the inning, so on and so forth. And baseball doesn't get that. And they're trying to be this behemoth. They're still trying to hold on to the ideals that held them up for decades and decades and decades, almost a century. And they just aren't that anymore. They don't have that same feeling when you're watching a baseball game. There's not that same energy. All the other sports, they're trying to figure out coming back. We're trying to figure out going back to school. I move in, on the 9th. So by the time this is up, I'll be moved in back on campus. Who knows what's going to happen with college? Who knows if we're going to be there for 2 weeks or we're going to end up being there for the whole year? I hope it's the whole year, but I don't know. Nobody knows. And with everything going on, you got to wonder, where are we going from here? But hey, baseball's back.